Hello everyone, it's me, Pui. I'm back in my car. At this point, I might as well just call this channel Pui's Car Academy. I hope you don't mind the car videos too much. This is just where I do my thinking, I suppose, and I just had a thought, and I was like, okay, well, I got two options, make a weekly video, edit the crap out of it, write a script, probably forget the details, or just do another car thing, and just share it, and just get it out as fast as you can, and just put your passion in it right when you have the moment. I'm gonna try to edit out the car sounds better than I did for the other video, but I had another car thought. So, without further ado, I was just sitting here, and I was kinda, sorta softly watching the Crow's Nest video Snacky made, about the Edison deck types. If you're into Edison, you want to learn more about the deck types, I highly recommend you go check out the Crow's Nest channel, especially that video. Seems like it's really great. And I had this clip in the video where she's playing against Cam. And I had this moment where I was like, okay, right, so either Cam has been set up as a dummy here, or there's a likelihood that, they've gotten a lot of games. And I'm pretty sure Snack and Cam got a lot of games. And I was thinking about this, just the idea of playing, competitive Edison decks. And just playing, with a friend, or more than a friend, or whatever. And just for a long period of time. Just with one person who you know and like. And I'm thinking, that sounds dreadful. And then I started thinking back to some of my experiences, playing GOAT or even playing Modern Magic. Of just playing, those decks with a friend. Especially internally, the decks I own, being a degenerate player, and that folds into this a bit. I had this moment where I was like, okay, these decks are not the gameplay experience I want right now. In fact, I'd even go to say, at least for myself in particular, playing with my friend most of the time is barely the gameplay experience I want. Certainly not with these decks in very rare instances. And I was trying to think about why that was. And I had this realization that a big difference between casual and competitive play, I'd say maybe even the big difference, is not just that you're trying to win, but that the fun is derived from that victory. And more specifically, that I am not accountable for my opponent's fun in competitive play. Because the fun of it and the joy of it is that winning, and everyone theoretically has a chance to win because fun for competitive play is experienced in aggregate. Similar to the way that the meta and the understanding of what decks are powerful is an understanding of games in aggregate. Metagaming even is the idea of playing games in aggregate, a series of games in sequence. Can you win multiple games in a row? That's what a tournament asks you. Can you win multiple games in a row versus multiple decks? That's the challenge. Overcoming that challenge, that's the fun. And that is not the experience when you're playing against another player. Now, Stack and Cam in particular, they have many, many decks. I've actually had the pleasure of going over to Snack's house. I've seen her decks. She's got like 12 or 13. They're all in beautiful sleeves. And then she has like separately different colored sleeves for the sideboard. So it's like, it's so nice. She's nuts because she has like a full extra deck for every single one, but it's nuts. If you don't, though, if you only have one or two decks for a format, especially if those decks are degenerate, you start to notice it's actually a different experience because all of a sudden, your fun is being derived by the value of the game and the value of the interaction of the person in a way it isn't quite being derived from when you're playing an aggregate in a competitive event and you're only accountable to your own fun. Now, all of a sudden, if your opponent's not having fun, your friend's not having fun. If your friend's not having fun, it's likely you're not having fun. Unless you suck. Because you can still be having fun, but to an extent, that gets a little sucky. And it also, that decreases the chance of return. So, there's this book called The Well-Played Game that a friend of mine recommended. And I have not read this book yet. So I'm making a video on a book I haven't read yet. Like some 6th grader doing a book report. I do plan to read it, and I'll probably have more to say, and I could do a video of my more to say once I read the book. But I believe the core idea is there is this understanding of a well-played game, win or lose, even when you're competing. It's an inner feeling that can sit with one or both parties, or all parties, that the game had a proper narrative, a proper test of skill, a proper enjoyable time, a sense that it was well played. There's plenty of times, especially in competitive play, where you're saying GG, and you're saying that good game as a courtesy, but it didn't particularly feel as a good like a good game. Sometimes people say GG as an insult. Sometimes people don't even say GG because they don't feel it was a well-played game, and that happens, and it's turned into a courtesy. But when you're playing you casually or with a friend or with a family member or anything along those lines, you want that well-played game feeling. And the decks that are competitive and built to handle a lot of situations in an aggregate and have a great strength and often some sort of great weakness, it's very unlikely that those two decks that you own pair up nicely against each other in a lot of situations. This applies a lot more to degenerate decks than others, but there are plenty of fair decks that attack a certain axis in a way that either the other deck does or doesn't have. For example, I was trying to teach my girlfriend to play recently, and I only had 2 decks built. And one of the decks was like a token aggro deck, and one of them was a ramp deck. And that would have been a fine matchup, and I was hopeful it would be, but I had that stress of trying to figure out which of the 2 decks, which of the decks I had that I could try to throw together. And I played this deck, and I'm halfway into turn 3, and I realize it's got land destruction in it. I'm talking magic here. If you're not familiar, I'll be making a video on it soon, but you need your lands to play cards. It's very rare that your opponent has the ability to destroy them, and if they do get destroyed, it's very likely you're going to stop having fun after that. And so that wasn't a great experience. And of course, a lot of my decks end up being like that. I'm disinclined to play Panda Burn casually, though I think GOAT format has a great strength. The format is so insular, and it has a diversity, but it's so recognizable and understandable that the decks all are prepared for each other meaningfully. I think there are a couple of matchups that are a joke. Obviously, again, I don't want to play Library, or I don't ever want to play Library, but I don't want to play Empty Jar. I don't want to play often Reasoning Gate, I don't think. I don't want to play decks like this, and sometimes not even Panda Burn, against other decks in GO format, whereas some of them are better prepared for each other. I would play Turbo Warrior could be fun, Warrior Burn can be fun, Turbo Burn, the Turbo player's got to be prepared, and the Burn player's got to be prepared. That's another one, right? There's a certain amount of preparation that people put into each other, and there's a fun in trying to, outwit someone. But sometimes I feel like when we do these challenges, right, like if I were to just challenge someone to a duel, and there's that phrase like no pre, right? The idea that we're trying to have this honorable competition, even if not even fun, but honorable, when usually the game is designed to be played in aggregate, with this notion that we're trying to beat as many people as possible. It's not about fairness, and it's not about fun. We're trying to win, and we need to win in a lot of situations. And so immediately in that competitive sphere, when you have one well-defined situation, the fun crumbles. Whoever knows what the other person's doing is going to be really easy to do that quote-unquote that pre-boarding, get that extra preparation. So anyway, yeah, that was what I was thinking about. Just this idea of when you need to value a single game and the fun derived from it versus when the fun comes from a series of games and an aggregate, a tournament and such. Anyway, I keep mentioning these video essays I'm going to do, and I do have some vague plans of them, but obviously this is not that. However, if this was of any interest to you, if it taught you something new, if it made you think about something a new way, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know, because I guess stuff like this, only probably less rambly and with a lot more research done and a lot more editing, this is the kind of stuff I was hoping to talk about. Just, a little bit of theory about the gaming experience, gaming community. I'm a sociology student at heart. Just graduated with a degree in that. Did a thesis on it too. So I was hoping to talk about that and stuff along the similar lines and get a chance to do some research and talk more. So if you like this, if you thought it was cool, and you want to actually get to the actual, lessons of Please Card Academy, let me know. But for now, hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.